Hello everyone, Storm here, and today we are bringing back What If Harry Became Spider-Man and continuing into the second film. If you haven't seen the first two parts, which covered the first movie, then check it out where it will be linked in the description and comment section. If you end up enjoying this video and have enjoyed the series so far, please do like and subscribe. I'm trying to hit 6,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so it would really help out. As always, join my Discord and follow me on Twitter. Links in the description. The movie opens with Peter driving on a scooter, trying to deliver pizza. As he's riding, he would notice some kids about to get hit by a car, but luckily that's when he sees Spider-Man. The hero would swing past and save the two kids before then tapping on his wrist pad and calling his glider. He lands on said glider and then rides off. Peter watches as he flies away and smiles. After he delivers the pizza, we still get the iconic line,
"Pizza time."
However, this time, the woman would just respond with a simple thank you. J. Jonah never threatens to fire Peter, and instead it's revealed to the audience that Spider-Man has been way more active than in canon. This is because throughout Spider-Man 2, Peter doesn't really want to be Spider-Man, whereas that is all Harry really has. Harry lost his father, pushed away his best friend because he saw himself responsible for Uncle Ben's death, and his crush MJ was now with said best friend. At this point, who he is really just the head of Oscorp and Spider-Man, not so much Harry anymore. He basically has been using Spider-Man to escape from his real life. Anyway, after all this, Peter arrives home to find Aunt May, Mary Jane, and Harry all there. They celebrate his birthday, but many small scenes would not happen. He wouldn't be late, he wouldn't tell MJ that it's been a long time since they saw each other, since, they're together in this timeline. And there also wouldn't be any tension with Harry. Instead, we would get some dialogue where Harry would apologize for not doing something sooner that night. If he had known what would have happened, he would change it all. Peter told him that it wasn't his fault and that they both made that mistake together. He went in for a hug, to which Harry did not accept, instead moving toward his chair. He sits down and tells Peter that he was working with Otto Octavius to help put Oscorp on the map once again. But this time, he did it for himself and not his father. He offers Peter to come, and his friend obviously accepted. He would then ask how MJ's plays are going, which he would respond that she's fantastic in the role, and that Harry should come with him to see one. The friends would smile together as MJ walks in with the cake, and after all this, we get Harry leaving and saying goodbye to everyone. Once the party is finished, MJ then leaves, and Peter doesn't have to take any money from Aunt May, since he's been doing fine without Spider-Man. No big MJ scene, and instead Peter would go home to his apartment like in canon. Moving forward, Harry would give Peter to Octavius, as he had some errands to run. The two would then talk, but Otto wouldn't comment about how Peter is lazy since he would be doing just fine in class. Once again, no Spider-Man, no negatives for Peter. They would still bond, and Peter would say that he does have a girlfriend, but he's kinda struggling to support their relationship as he has college and 2 jobs. Otto would tell him to stay strong through it all and make it work through all the problems. If you're there at the lowest points, it'll make the highest points all the more satisfying. Otto then tells him one last thing, make sure not to have any secrets. Peter would thank him and Rosie, and we would then cut to Harry in the board meeting. They would be talking about their newest military upgrades, and Harry would be barely paying attention. A member would ask him his thoughts, and he would give them a talk about how they just have to keep improving the city, as the crime rate just keeps on dropping. Their collaboration with the government would also help them expand to other cities as well, so they just have to keep up the good work. That's when one of the board members would say that the work they've been doing was great and all, and they were happy to see the improvements. However, it was taking a massive toll on their family life. It seemed like they were more businessmen than people these days. This would of course serve as a direct mirror to Harry, as he had been trying to escape from being himself. Harry goes silent, looking off for a second before saying, "Right," and then ending the meeting. He goes outside the office, and we cut to Peter on his scooter driving to MJ's play. Behind him would be a car speeding over the limit and about to hit him. However, he gets pulled into the air and the scooter gets trampled. Peter would be scared and would land on the ground, seeing Spider-Man zoom by. Spider-Man would easily stop the criminals, and it would actually be a similar car takedown to in the PS4 game. Peter would then run up to the hero, thanking him and asking him to get a quick picture. Spidey would agree, and Peter would then take the picture and ask him about how he manages to balance his lives out, and Spider-Man would go silent. Peter would then say that it's okay and that he respects his privacy, going on that he has to see his girlfriend's play, and Harry would then remember. Spider-Man would web sling away as Peter would be told that his scooter was going to get towed. We would then cut to Harry dropping his suit into the glider, which holds it and flies to Oscorp. He would then go to the rooftop and go through a window, dropping down into a seat as the play began. Meanwhile, Peter would be denied by Bruce Campbell and would go home. MJ would see Harry in the crowd and he would be smiling, actually feeling happy for once in a while. He finally had the chance to be Harry and not Spider-Man or Mr. Osborn. After the play, MJ would walk out with Harry and the two would talk about how things are going. MJ would say that Peter's been struggling with all his jobs and school, and her. Harry would respond that he's been struggling a bit too, and she replies that, yeah, she's noticed. She thought that it must be why he stopped talking to them. To her. Harry apologized and MJ forgave him. She was just glad he was there tonight. She then got into a cab and went home, and Harry stood on the sidewalk thinking. We would move into MJ getting home and stepping out of the cab, and Peter would already be there with a flower and would apologize. He couldn't make it in time because he almost got ran over and Bruce Campbell stopped him. MJ would of course tell him that it's okay and just to try not to get ran over next time. They would kiss and she would ask if he wanted to come inside, but Peter would say that he had to go to the Oscorp showcase tomorrow morning. MJ would say alright and begin to walk away, but Peter would stop her. Peter would then tell her that he's been told that it wasn't good to keep secrets from the one you love. MJ would ask what it was, and Peter would then say, Uncle Ben. He would confess to her everything that happened on the night of his murder, and that he was also responsible for it. MJ would say that she was so sorry, and that it wasn't his fault, but Peter would admit that it was. He's mostly over it, although it does still impact him, and he feels like he needs to tell the most important people in his life. He swore to never make the mistake of not acting again, and Mary Jane would then hug him. She would thank him for telling her and also say that he might want to tell Aunt May too. Peter would respond that he doesn't know if he has the strength, and MJ would be understanding of that. It probably took enough already just to tell her, and she wasn't even involved in any way. MJ would say goodnight and she would close the door, cutting to the experiment the next day. Harry would be late instead of Peter and the presentation would then begin. Otto would of course succeed, however things would then go wrong like in canon and everyone would run out. He would then put on his suit and swing by using his arm blades to cut the plug, with Octavius trying to stop him. However, eventually he would succeed and Otto would be shocked and pass out. Of course, Rosie would die just like in canon, and after all that we'd get Otto waking up and the arms killing all the doctors just like originally. Octavius would then be planning to rebuild his experiment, and we will end this part right here. Let me know how you guys are liking this version of the movie so far, and make sure to check out the next part when it comes out. Next time, the story will pick up a little bit more with the characters and action. This is mostly just the introduction. And if you did end up enjoying this video, please do consider subscribing, as once again I'm trying to hit 6,000 subscribers before the end of the year, and these non-Dragon Ball videos don't usually get a lot of love, so any support at all really does help. But as always, tell me if you liked this part, tell me what you think will happen next, comment your requests for future videos, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, have a great day.